All right. I think I am going to start. Looks like we're ready to go. I'm recording. Kim just walked in. So, Kim, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here, Kim. And, folks, if you just jumped in here, let's see. We've got Mark saying top of the morning. Andres and Mark are here, so they're together. That's fantastic. Thank you all for being here. I want to officially welcome you to session number 6, where we're going to be talking about learning the secrets to writing content, posts specifically on LinkedIn. But the lessons I'm teaching you today also apply to the other channels that we've covered over this 6-week course. So stay tuned for that. We're going to get there very, very soon here. But I want to make sure, since this is our final class together, if you can believe it or not, this is where I want you to be. I want you all to have launched your first campaign, and ideally to be over here already having issued at least your 3rd wave in that communication. So I want to know from everybody who's here, have you at the very least, launched your first campaign? Have you at least done one campaign? Please go over to the chat right now if you're hearing my voice. So Mark, Kim, Juliana, Joe, Jeffrey, Brett, Andy, all of you, have you at least launched one campaign? Tell me over there in the chat. And if you haven't, for whatever reason, if you haven't been able to do that yet, what's your block? What help do you need? What can we do to get you there? So I'm seeing Brett, who says yes, which is great. Who else? Who else has launched already? Please let me know there in the chat. Jeffrey, Joe, Juliana, Kim. Andy says yes, 2 campaigns. Yep. I realize that, which I'm going to mention here in just a moment, Andy. That's fantastic. Mark says we are days away. Good. Excellent. And Joe says a couple now. Awesome. For those of you who haven't yet, it's okay. Go over to the chat. Tell me, why haven't you been able to? Is it something that we need to do to help? Is it something on your end? Perhaps there's something we can do to help get you unblocked. Let us know there in the chat. If you haven't been able to, that's okay. Let us know. And to give you some encouragement, I want to call out a few people who are both here today. And the first is Mark, who just dropped a comment there. And Mark, as I heard from our team, you've been working on this "Don't Let This Happen to You" campaign. Is that right? Is that the name of your campaign? I don't know. You've got your landing pages and your emails getting dialed in. So it sounds like you're pretty close. Good job on your side, on your part there. Keep that going, and let us know if there's anything else we can do to help you get that campaign launched. That's fantastic. Andy, who is here, Andy P., I know that I believe you're still working on your webinar campaign, set to go live, end of next week, or is that this week? I may have confused the dates, but I know that's coming up pretty soon. Andy, how's that going for you? Everything going well on that campaign? And I think you have a meeting, actually, with Cheyenne here on our team next Tuesday to review that campaign. So the reason why I'm giving these folks some encouragement and calling them out here and shining some light on what they're doing is because I want you to know that if you need any help, just like these folks are leaning on our team, Andy, and I know Mark has been working with our folks, I want to encourage you to do the same. If there's anything that's holding you back, we want you to be successful here, and we want you to be working on these campaigns. So Andy says, yes, should be late next week, and I'll meet with Cheyenne on Tuesday. Okay, fantastic, good. So if anybody needs any help, drop that in the chat there. Drop that in the chat. My team's reading that, and we will definitely give you the assistance that you need. So today we are on week 6, and like I said, what we're covering today is focused on LinkedIn, but doesn't necessarily only apply to that channel. I'll show you what I mean in a second. What we're covering today builds on what we talked about last week. If you can believe it, it's been a week. Seems like almost a month, to be honest with you. Time is so strange these days. But last week when we got together, we talked about how to create what we were calling a magnetic LinkedIn profile. Everyone remember that? And I showed you the 4 pieces to operating on LinkedIn successfully, starting with recrafting your profile. And hopefully you were able to get the guide that I offered you there during class from my staff. If you didn't get that, please let us know in the chat. We'll get that over to you. There's a checklist in that guide that helps you set up your profile so that as you begin to publish content, connect with people, and engage in social, engage in the comments of your own posts and of other posts that other folks have written, you begin to get the attention and draw the eye of your prospective market. Now, I don't think we talked about this last week, but I'd love my team to get this link ready. There's something called the Social Selling Index. And Jessica or Mike, if you get that link ready, I'm going to have you drop it in just a second. LinkedIn actually measures your effectiveness at these 4 things. And they summarize it in this number called the Social Selling Index. And so if you want to see how LinkedIn looks at you in these 4 areas, click on the link that my team's about to drop in the chat there. And go look for this number. It's going to look something like this. It may be a little bit different depending on how you're accessing it right now. But go grab that number and then come back into chat and tell me what it is. So Mindfire team, please drop that into there in the chat. So Jessica or Mike, I don't know if you've dropped it in yet. Let me take a quick look here. Doesn't look like you have yet. Please drop that in, folks. Jessica or Mike. There we go. Mike got it. So click that link, folks. Brett says my social selling index went from 72 to 73 last week. Okay. And again, this is not the end-all, be-all of your efficacy on LinkedIn. Obviously, what matters is, are you driving the results that you're looking for? But it's an interesting way to understand how LinkedIn is looking at what you're doing in terms of establishing your brand, which is your profile, finding the right people, connecting with them, engaging with what they call insights, which are direct messages as well as comments that you're leaving there on LinkedIn, and how good a job you're doing at building relationships. So come on. Give me your number. Click on that link that Mike just put in there in the chat, and then give me your social selling index there. I want to see what that is. Kushal, I think you're unmuted. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. There we go. And so, Mark, what do we got for you? Juliana, Joe, Jeffrey, Glenn, Brett, Andy. Andy says 70. It was 72. So, Andy, you're saying you went down? It happens. It happens. Mark is at 23. Mark, you have a lot of opportunity ahead of you. Brett is at 73. Yeah. Brett, yours, you said yours went from 72 to 73. Okay. Jeffrey is at, what are you at? 42. Okay. Who else? Kim, did I see yours yet? Kim and Juliana, what are you at? Kim says 13. I have lots of work to do. Yeah, Kim, you have a lot of work to do, but you also have a lot of opportunity. And so that's kind of why I'm illustrating this, using this measure here, because I want you to understand how the mechanism of LinkedIn is looking at you. And one way to look at it is, shoot, I suck right now. I'm only at 10 or whatever. But the other way to look at that is you have a lot of opportunity. There's a lot that you can do to begin to promote your organization, to promote your service and your product and yourself. There on this platform that is really incredible right now. So Glenn, what are you at? Glenn is at 65. Okay. All right, folks. Well, Mike, if you don't mind, throw that link in one more time for anybody who missed it. Click that link and then drop your score back there into the chat so we know kind of where you stand. Also, last week, in order to help you put this into practice, I issued a challenge for all of you, the 7-day challenge, right? And we made it fun by saying, look, I want to encourage you over the next 7 days from last week to today to send 5 connection requests today. Start to build your professional network on LinkedIn, to leave at least 5 comments per day on your own content or on the content of others, and to publish at least 3 times, at least thrice, okay? So I issued that challenge, and before I tell you who the winners of this challenge are, I want to know who here thinks they were able to accomplish that. Drop a yes in the chat. Were you all in? Were you able to get this done? If you weren't, if you were not, tell me how close you got. How close do you think you got to doing this? And be honest, it's okay. Drop me a note there in the chat. Andy, Brett, Glenn, Jeffrey, Joe, Juliana, Kim, Mark. How close were you to this? Go ahead, take a moment. Let me know there in the chat. What we did, as you know, over the last 7 days is we measured where you were last week and where you are today. And by doing that, I want to first of all congratulate all of you because there was definitely some progress. As an example, you added as a group over 278 new connections, about an average of 7 new connections per person in this group here, which is good. The last class actually did a little bit better. They got around 453 new connections, the last group that went through this. and they made about 11 new connections over the course of that week. So just to give you some context for where this group as a whole stands. Andy says I did maybe 25% of the challenge. Glenn says probably about 50%. Okay. All right, that's fine. So in a moment, I want to reveal the two winners who gained the most in terms of their network count, the follower count, who gained the most in terms of the number of new followers, and the other winner who gained the most in terms of percentage. And so the winners are going to have a choice of either a $25 Amazon gift card or a $25 Starbucks gift card, okay? So what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to announce who those two winners are. Let me see what you're all saying here in the chat. Mark says, we can do better. Joe says, I tried a little, but my week has been kind of hectic, so it fell by the wayside. Yeah, Joe, I know that, which is a good thing, right? I mean, business is picking up. There's a lot going on. The world, at least here in the United States, has been changing. We've got a lot of new things going on coming out of the pandemic or changing seasons here in the pandemic. So I know there's a lot going on. Don't feel badly if you weren't able to do this, but if anybody here is thinking, hey, does LinkedIn work? What do I need to do to make it work as part of the campaign infrastructure that I'm running through Mindfire? The behaviors here in the 7-day challenge that I'm encouraging you to follow are the things that when you're ready to step on the gas here, are the things that you need to do. All right, that's why I'm encouraging you here. So drum roll, please. I'm going to announce the first winner in terms of new connections. And that is Brett. Brett went from 5,482 to 5,574, which is what, 92 people? Yep, there it is on the screen, 92 people. How'd you do that, Brett? Brett says, crazy week. I connected with a lot of great people and posted a few times with comments. So, Brett, how'd you do that? I'm sure there's people here wondering exactly what you did. If you can take a moment just to drop that in the chat. That's good. Second and third place, we had Glenn, who's also here, and Andy also did fairly well. Glenn, it looks like you grew by 45 new followers. Andy by 31, so some good progress there as well. So Glenn and Andy, congrats to you. But we get Brett as our winner here. Brett, what do you want? Do you want the $25 Amazon or the $25 Starbucks? Let us know there in the chat. We want to make sure we get that to you. Jessica will follow up and make sure you get that. You want Starbucks? All right, he wants the coffee. Great. All right, so next up then, congratulations, Brett. Good job, my man. Next up, drum roll please here, we have the person who grew the most in terms of percentage. Now, this is interesting because I think you'll notice something here that this person needs to do. This person has an opportunity to continue to improve here, as we all do, right? But that person is Joe. Joe Dyer, you're here, my man. I know you're here. Joe, you went from 22 to 28 people, which is 6. Yeah, I mean, just the way the numbers work out, right? 27% growth. So that's an interesting way to look at things, right? If you start small, you have an opportunity to win here still, right? So, Joe, congratulations. Good job, Joe. As you can imagine, Joe, the thing that I'm mentioning here that I think you need to work on is your profile image. Imagine if you had that headshot in there. Man, you could have had 100% growth, right? So, Joe, please let my team know which award you want there, the $25 Starbucks gift card or Amazon. Get your headshot in there, and let's see what you can do. Second place here, we had Gwen. I don't know if Gwen is here. And third place was also Glenn. Again, Glenn, I can tell Glenn's putting on the action here. Glenn, you also grew over the last week in a noticeable way. So congratulations, folks, again. May seem silly, may seem gamified, which it is. The reason I'm doing this is to help you understand how to begin to apply these principles for your business and for your sales team, for your marketing team, so that you can actually start to drive the results that you're looking for. I want to pause for a second. I want to hear from at least the folks that I've called out here over the past 2 minutes who have grown a little bit here on LinkedIn, and also the rest of you who are running campaigns, who are starting to, execute these OptiChannel communication touchpoints through Mindfire over the last week, over the last 2 weeks. What's come your way? I want to hear about the new business opportunities. I want to hear about the requests that you're getting, the communications that you're having with your clients, with your prospects. Anything good? Anything funny? Sometimes there's strange things that happen, especially as you begin to engage on social. Anything funny or strange happen? Take a moment. Just let me know there in the chat. I see Jessica still working with Joe there to figure out what gift he wants. Joe's surprised. Wasn't expecting this little award this morning. Says, I wasn't expecting it, but I wouldn't say no to an Amazon gift card. All right, Joe. Lots of good stuff there on Amazon, right? So anybody have any feedback here? Anything that's happened to you over this last week or last couple of weeks as a result of this campaign activity, the stuff that you've been doing here in Mindfire or the stuff that you've been doing on LinkedIn? I want to hear. So one example here is from Brett. By the way, Mike Chercuzio, did you update this slide for me? Let me know there in the chat. Brett says, I had 3 great Zoom meetings as a result of the new connections and a couple more to come. So Brett, how did you do this? Tell us a little bit more. So you had 3 meetings with potential clients, I assume, or the existing clients. I would imagine they're prospects. And they were initiated through a connection request that you made. So you sent somebody a connection request. Did you personalize the note and say, hey, I want to talk to you further about X, Y, Z? Or how did you do that? Give us a little context for how you did that. I want to encourage you, and I also want to give everyone else encouragement. Who else? I want to hear. Joe, how about things for you? Mark, what about for you? Jeffrey, Glenn, take a moment there in Zoom and let me know what else has come your way as a result of you increasing the activity. Sometimes some strange things happen, but once you've been through them a few times, you get a little bit more comfortable with some of the odd things that begin to happen to you. If you've started to work this process, if you've launched your campaigns, if you've started to execute here on LinkedIn, you should begin to see, it may be small at first, but you should begin to see an uptick in activity and conversations that start to lead to the results that you're looking for. So I'm not seeing anybody else mention anything. So that's something that is interesting. If you're not seeing it, then I would say it's probably everyone's pretty busy right now. I know that things are getting busy here these days. So if nothing else here in the chat, I'm going to move on. But I would love to hear, especially from Brett. Okay, Brett's just popped up here. Brett says, I make my communication requests, no communication during the request. Then once we connect, listen to this, folks. Listen to this. He says, once we connect, I send them a personalized video. They respond back because of my video message. And then we schedule a Zoom meeting. So, Brett, are you using the video feature inside of LinkedIn, or are you using something else to record that video? So, folks, I think that's important for you to hear. I want to make sure you hear that. Some people are lazy, and they try stuff on LinkedIn or they try stuff with OptiChannel communication. They say it's not working because they haven't given it that little extra push. And here's Brett saying, I actually record a little video, right? And I want to encourage you to think in those terms. If you're thinking about how to engage your prospects and your customers, if you're not taking that extra little step to stand out, you're not going to be seen. You're not going to be heard. So congratulations to you, Brett. Want to know how you're doing that. If you can just leave us a little note there in the chat, I will read that off to everybody as soon as you send it in. Glenn says, nothing strange, but I'm getting more comfortable. More people are reaching out to connect. Good. All right. Keep that feedback coming in. I want to talk to you right now here then about a few things that I think are going to be important to you as you continue to pump out communication into your marketing framework that we've been talking about over the last 5 or 6 weeks, okay? So you've all seen this flow chart. This should not be anything new for you. This is a workflow that we've covered over the course of the last few weeks. What I want to help you understand is how to create content. And specifically, we're going to be looking at a couple of different forms of LinkedIn content that you can use to continue to push and drive people into this workflow, okay? And the first strategy that I want to share with you is something that's called document, don't create. And it sounds strange, sounds funny, but the idea is this. In very simple terms, documenting versus creating is what the real world is. If I have any real world fans here, let me know. It's this in contrast to something like Star Wars. And the point I'm trying to make is that when you think about, Keeping Up with the Kardashians or the real world, these kinds of shows are a quasi-documentary, just showing the life of what's usually some pretty interesting people, right? Whereas something like Star Wars or even something like Friends here on the screen, right, is more scripted. It's more produced, right? And so the idea of document, don't create is simply this. And it's really, really powerful. When you document the work that you do, when you document what you're doing for your clients, meaning just pulling out your cell phone, taking video. I've mentioned this to a few of you. Those of you who have printing equipment on your floor, when you have machinery, things that move, things that people can see, taking short little film of that or writing about that is documenting what you're already doing in life, what you're already doing in your work. And it's a version of creating content that's in many cases much more practical than instead of having to, pull out your notepad if you still write on paper or pull open the Google Doc and sit there and think, okay, how do I create something brand new? How do I create something from scratch? How do I come up with a new idea of something to talk about? And for a lot of people, the idea of having to come up with whatever that thing is keeps them from actually being able to get it done because they want it to be perfect. Do you know what I mean? Does anybody have that? Drop a 1 in the chat if you understand what I'm talking about. There's this need, there's this feeling inside of us that we got to create the perfect content. And if you let that block you, if you let that keep you from producing content, it's going to hold you back. So instead, think about simply documenting what you do. I found this little quote here. Everyone has 3 lives: a public life, a private life, and a secret life. And what I'm suggesting to you is that for a portion of your market, whatever it is you're selling, whatever it is you're promoting, whatever it is your company does, if you can peel back the layers and show them a little bit more about your company, about you, peel back the layers and document what you're doing already for your clients, meaning stuff that you do on a daily basis anyways. You would be doing it anyways. That stuff can be very interesting and good information for potential customers and existing clients. So when I say to think about document, don't create in this way, what I mean is pick up your cell phone, pick up your smartphone, or open up Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live and start talking or sharing or communicating the things that are important to you, the things that happen on a daily basis. Because in the end, if you let that little insecurity creep into your head where you're like, you know what, this thing has to be perfect, it's got to be beautiful, that's subjective. What you and I think is beautiful or perfect changes. That's an opinion. But what's not subjective is the fact that you need to put yourself out there and start putting out the content. That's tangible. That's measurable. What holds most people back is that insecurity. And what I'm trying to communicate to you here today is if you have that feeling, you just got to start. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to simply document and share what's already going on. You're outputting, you're producing content already. You're just not documenting it yet. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Here's a client that we work with. And what they do is they pull together a few of their top clients every month in what they call a mastermind, okay? And they meet in Zoom, similar to what we're doing here, but everyone's face is on the screen. And they save that mastermind meeting, the recording of that, and then they watch it, and they identify little snippets, 30, 60, 90-second snippets of something that a customer said, like Lou that you see here on the screen. And they cut that out of the meeting. They give it a nice title right here at the top, and then they share that. That's an example of document, don't create, right? They're already having that meeting. They're already hearing from their client. Of course, they get the client's approval to be able to share whatever it is that they're saying. They cut it up, and they put it out as content. Jess or Mike, if you can grab that link, put that into the chat for everybody. If you want to see an example of this, folks, in action, drop that into the chat. Is this making sense to everyone? Give me a yes in the chat if you're understanding this. Give me a yes in the chat. And what I want to know as you're doing that, as my team grabs that link for you, who just had a little unlock there? Who just had this idea of, shoot, actually you're right. We're creating content already. We're just not documenting it. We're just not capturing it in this way. Did anybody have that unlock, especially as I shared this example here about Lou? Anybody have that? I would venture to guess that some of you are having these kinds of meetings as it is. And now with so much being in Zoom, all you have to do is hit that record button, right? As we're doing right now in this meeting here. And do some light post-production on that piece. And you have some valuable content for your audience, all right? So that's the document, don't create strategy. I want to make sure that I encourage you to think about how you can do that in your business, because it's really, really powerful once you grab a hold of it. Now, I want to share with you, with that kind of high-level strategy in mind, 6 tactics, 6 specific things that you can do. And again, I'm talking about LinkedIn right now, but it's not only LinkedIn. This applies to email as an example as well, other channels. But I want to share with you 6 specific tactics that you can do to create content, to continue to push out content that's going to engage your audience. And specifically, I want to talk to you about some of the different examples that are available here on LinkedIn. Most people, when they see LinkedIn and they look at this, like what you see here on the screen, they have this reaction like this young lady here, right? What do I say? What do I do? And then add on top of that, you have a lot of different options here. You can create a poll. There's different forms of content you can upload, video, images, articles. We're going to talk about all of those, right? But many people, when they see this, they're like, oh my gosh, what do I talk about? How do I use these things? And that fear that, hey, there's so much here, can hold some of you back from taking some very simple steps to start pushing content out. So what I want to do now is I want to show you 6 types of content specifically through the eyes of LinkedIn that you can create, okay? And we're going to start with the first, which are simple text posts. So everything I'm talking about is through the eyes of this interface here, what you see in LinkedIn when you click create a new post, okay? And the first is what we call a text post. Now, what's cool about the text post is that to get good engagement on LinkedIn, often you don't even need an image. I know some of you think that, hey, I got to get my graphics team involved, or I need a graphics designer. And certainly that helps. But don't let that hold you back. Posts with just content, with just text, often do very, very well. And those posts can lead to, a blog post. They can lead to an ebook download. They can link to a webinar registration. Anything that you want to power in your Mindfire software, a text post can lead to. So I want to show you a few examples of what I'm talking about, okay, where you don't need imagery, you don't need anything more than just some words to actually start to drive engagement. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on the first one. Actually, I'm going to click on the second one here, because the other one's an example of something else I want to make sure you understand. So here's what I mean when I say a simple text post. You see this? There is no image in this post. It's simply text. Does that make sense to you? Give me a yes in the chat if you're understanding this. Simple text posts using hashtags. We covered that over the last 2 sessions. 167 reactions, 263 comments. Does that make sense? This is a simple text post. You can see the engagement here. I am following our process. I'm replying to people. I'm speaking to them, right? This is what you can do as well. It doesn't take a lot. All you have to do is click that post button and start to either paste or write your content there directly into LinkedIn. So that's a simple text post, okay? Now, the other one I want to show you here is an example of what we call value on top when you share someone else's post. I see, from time to time, posts that other people write, and I'm sure you see this as well. You see posts that other people write that you think, hey, this is going to be useful to my audience. And so you share it, right? Most people, when they share someone else's content, they don't write much on top up here, okay? What I want to key you in on is that, especially as it pertains to LinkedIn, when you share a piece of content without putting much or anything on top, it usually doesn't do that well. When I say doesn't do that well, meaning you don't get that much exposure within your network or even outside your network. The views that LinkedIn blesses you with are relatively small. This is something that we as practitioners have come to find. But the exception to that seems to be when you actually add additional content, additional value on top. That's why we call it value on top. So here's an example again of a simple text post that leverages someone else's post, right? And this post itself, right, the share that I did, 323 engagements, 220 comments, okay? So again, no imagery required, piggybacks off of another piece of content that was already doing well, and added value on top. So when I say value on top, that's something I think a lot of you need to hear, because I see a lot of you sharing, for example, your company page, post something and you share it, and you just click the share button, and maybe you write 1 or 2 words up at the top of the post, and then you think, hey, this is going to be seen by my network. Sometimes that's true, but if you want to kind of stack the cards in your favor, stack the deck in your favor, then what you should do is actually add value on top. Does that make sense, everybody? Give me a 1 in the chat if you're understanding the value on top idea. I'm going to bring it back up here in just a moment, but I want to make sure you understand that. Give me a 1 if you're getting that. Okay, I see the ones coming in. So that's a text post, all right? The next kind of post is the same, except now you just simply add an image, all right? The thing that's good about an image, if you find the right image, if you've tested images throughout your posts and such, is that it can act as a pattern interrupt. What do I mean by that? Well, simply, if you imagine somebody's scrolling through their news feed, right? Either on their mobile or on their desktop, and they see something, it interrupts whatever they're doing. Your goal is to arrest the viewer's attention, to get them to stop for that brief moment and pay attention to you, right? So photos can be very helpful in doing that. And often what we find is that regular photos, I put those in air quotes, right, outperform the stock imagery. And, there's various theories as to why that is, but I would just encourage you to test pictures that you've taken yourself, pictures that look regular, okay? They don't need to be necessarily professionally produced. And if you need to make some edits to the photo, and you say, you know what, my graphics team is busy, or hey, I'm a small company, we don't have extra resources, throw that photo into Canva. Anybody here use Canva? I believe they have a free tier. If not, it's like $9 a month. Canva is very easy to learn to use. If you're not a graphic designer, Canva is easy to use to make adjustments to the images. There's a lot of things like that, but Canva is one of the easiest that we've come across. And if you're looking for photos, you can go over to Flickr. There's a lot of sites like this where you can find royalty-free photos that you can share that don't go against any legality issue or anything. So you can find sites like Flickr that have photos that you can use. Let me show you a couple examples. First one here. I think I've mentioned this to you before, especially to those who are here in the print community. This is a picture of a original Heidelberg that I happened to shoot as I was walking through a client's location, right? Took it on my cell phone. So text on the top, photo down here, and you can see the engagement here. All right, nothing fancy, but I knew, and I've communicated this to you before in class, that for those of you who are in the print community especially, photos like this, for whatever reason, tend to do well. So that's one example. Here's another one. I'm trying to remember what this one has, what photo this has here. Yes, this is a post about adding a circle around your head. You see how I did this here for Paige? I blanked out her name, but Paige is actually also in the print industry. And so what we were doing is we were just talking about how, making yourself stand out by adding a circle like this around your head can open up all sorts of opportunities. So here's the post, and here's the simple image that was included here. And you can see the reactions that this one garnered. So that's simply a text post with an image, not too hard. The point that I'm trying to make here is I want to encourage you to think that the imagery often, if it's taken with your cell phone, if you create it yourself, often will outperform stock imagery and professionally produced slick-looking photos, okay? Any questions on that? Let me know there in the chat. Heidelberg windmill. I used to run one. Yep, Mike. Cool, beautiful devices. All right, the next one here. Video. Who's afraid of shooting video? Tell me there in the chat. Who has trepidation around shooting video? Just pulling out your cell phone, taking a video. Mike, yep. Who else? Andy says me. Who else? Andres does, says Mark. Who doesn't have fear of that? Joe says, I wouldn't, meaning, Joe, you would be okay with it, or you would not shoot video? Brett says, I'm getting over myself about this. Yeah, you got to get over yourself. That's exactly right, Brett. I know it's difficult. Anybody okay with it? Anybody like, yeah, I don't care. I'll shoot video. Let me know there in the chat. Video works very well for a lot of people, especially this is where document don't create comes in, right? You don't even have to be on camera. You could, be the voiceover. Take your camera, start to shoot something in your office, or if you create direct mail, or cards. I know some of you are in that space, or promotional products, whatever it is. You don't even have to be on camera. Take a video and say, just record as you're shooting. Just talk about what it is that you're showing them for 15 seconds, 20 seconds, right? You don't even have to be in front of the camera. The iPhone, the Android, all of those are fine. Most modern phones these days, the cameras there are fantastic. You don't need to worry about getting any fancy camera like we have here in the studio, right? Useful, informative videos that you find elsewhere on the web also can do very, very well. So let me show you a few examples of what I'm talking about. But a little hint here, if you are sharing videos, like maybe from your website or from YouTube, if you have a company page, or if you find some informative video that you think your audience would like, a practitioner hint here, and this is from experience, from us and from our clients, is that often if you upload that video into LinkedIn, if you take that video and you upload it so that it's a native video inside of LinkedIn, it will do better than if you simply share the video, let's say, with a link from YouTube. Does that make sense? I hope I didn't confuse anybody. So when you're sharing a video, upload it into LinkedIn. For whatever reason, we have theories on this. For example, that LinkedIn gives preferential distribution to content that's held inside of the platform as opposed to content that's driving folks outside, right? That's one theory. For whatever reason, when it's inside of LinkedIn, it'll do better. So let me show you a few examples here. I'm going to show you two. The first is an example using something that I thought would be informative for the audience, okay? And this was at the beginning of, if I recall, this was about a year ago. This was during, you all remember the pandemic period when life was kind of topsy-turvy and we were all learning how to do this, work from home and all of the other stuff that was going on. So I don't know if you guys know who this is, but little video here that I thought was helpful from Mr. Gaffigan here, talking about quarantine life, what it was like. And it was quite humorous. So I shared this with my audience again, uploaded it natively into LinkedIn, and you can see how it did. It really helped people kind of stay positive. Again, this was a unique time in our history, and it helped a lot of people to kind of just let go of some of the steam and laugh, which was very necessary during those days, as it always is. So that's one example there. And this next one, if you look at this one down here, this is an example of, for me, document, don't create in a very unique way. This one is a video that I took on January 25th, 2020. And what happened is I had taken my family, so me and my wife and our 4 kids, to a mall that's nearby us here in Orange County, indoor mall, where there's a food court inside. And so I'm sitting there, and the craziness of the experience. If anybody has kids, we have 4 of them, like I said. Kids are running this way. Somebody's eating off the table. This kid's complaining about that. All of this is going on while in my head I'm thinking about something work-related. And so it occurred to me that, you know what? This might give me an opportunity to talk to my audience about, the intersection of being a dad, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, and just kind of the normality of crazy life as it happens, and kind of the confluence of those two things. So I pulled up my cell phone, and what happened is as I was filming that, I'll scroll down here. This is me filming the table, the conversation that we're having. This person back here, can you see this? Some of you know this story. This person back here is Kobe Bryant, who happened to just be walking by. This day, January 25th, 2020, is the night before the tragic accident. So what happened is, as I was filming this, something inside of me kicked me, literally kicked me, and said, you know what, Dave, you got to go over there and talk to Kobe. If you don't, you're going to regret it the rest of your life. I heard it clear as day. Normally, I respect, especially celebrities, I respect their privacy. I don't want to bother them, right? But I took the opportunity to go talk to him. And this post and this video is about that experience. So that's an example of a few things there. One, the power of document, don't create. You never know what you're going to capture. Second, it's an example of a text post with a video. Does that make sense, everybody? Those are 2 examples. Any questions about those? Does LinkedIn prompt you to upload the video, says Glenn? It doesn't prompt you to, but you can. I'll show you that if you want to see that. It doesn't come out and say, hey, do you want to upload the video? You just choose to either upload it or you can reference an external video, say in YouTube or Vimeo, one of the video hosting sites. Glenn, let me know if I answered your question. Now, this next one are documents. You may not realize, but when you create a post on LinkedIn, you can actually upload a document. Anybody here verbose, meaning you like to write a lot? If you do, if you find yourself writing a lot, you may hit the 1,300 character limit in your LinkedIn post. Anybody run into that? If you do, you can actually upload a document, an article, into the post as an attachment, okay? So what that allows you to do, it can be a PDF, it can be an image, it can be an ebook, it can be a price sheet, it can be a case study, something that you want to share with your audience, and people can actually click through it. Let me show you. It's the easiest way to do it is just to bring it up on the screen. So imagine you're writing a post to your audience, and you want to embed a piece of content. That's what this is here. You see this right here? This is another example that I pulled. This was from the beginning of the pandemic. And it was, again, you have to put yourself back in where we were 12, 13 months ago, folks, okay? And things were going nuts. We weren't sure where the world was going and how to protect our staff and all of these things. And so I had an internal meeting with my leadership team, and I said, all right, how are we going to prepare ourselves, our family, and our business for what seems to be happening here in the world? And as a result of that work that we did, I documented it. You know, I had my team put it together in a PDF so that we could read from it and communicate it to our staff. And as I did that, it occurred to me, you know what? Maybe this would be helpful to other businesses, other business owners, other folks. And so I took that. I put a little cover image here, and we said, all right, let's upload it as a piece of content here. And as you can see these buttons here? It allows you to scroll backwards and forwards through the piece of content. Okay. Now, this is an example of, kind of a COVID protocol, but it doesn't have to be something like that. It could be a case study. It could be something you've written about a client, about your products, about your services. Okay. And then the readers can interact like this, going back and forth. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 in the chat if you're understanding. That's called a content attachment or inserting a piece of content into the post, a document. Does that make sense? Mike, I see your note says Dave. Let me know what your question was there. So Kim, Jeffrey, you're getting that. Those are documents that you can upload. Okay. Good. Looks like you're tracking there. Okay, a couple more here. This one, I want you to hear me. This one has actually changed. All right? This one has actually changed. I want you to listen up. It's called a poll. Now, the reason why it's changed, polls, when I first started teaching this class, were a relatively new feature, meaning there's actually a way, and you've probably seen this on LinkedIn, where you can run a poll. So imagine that your prospects and your clients are seeing your content, and you're asking them a question that they can answer kind of in a poll format. All right? I'll show you an example of what I mean by that. What's changed lately is that polls, for whatever reason, LinkedIn has made a decision to give those a healthy distribution, meaning if you create a poll, you will often get more views, sometimes an order of magnitude, more visibility in front of your audience than any of the other examples that I just shared with you, okay? So for those of you who are practitioners of this, those of you who are saying, you know what, I want to get my company, my product, my service, my name out in front of more people, listen carefully to what I just said, all right? The other good thing about a poll is that you can see how your market, how your customers voted. So that can be used as a lead generation opportunity. I'm going to show you a few examples, all right? Actually, I think I have one here. Let's take a look at this. Look at the screen. So this is a poll, okay? A poll allows you to write something at the top, and then to have, you see this this thing right here, this element right here. This allows you to then ask your audience some questions. This one was done quite a while ago. Let me show you a more recent example here. I'm going to go to my activity, and you can see what I'm talking about in terms of the distribution that LinkedIn gives you. So that's 11,000. Let's take a look right here. Yeah, this is a good one right here coming up. So this one, here's a poll talking about NFTs, 12,000 views. This one has 3,200 views. Another poll. This one has 103,000 views. This one was about WeWork's CEO. I know there was one about Basecamp as well. Where is that one? That one might be a little bit further back. Let's see if I can find that one real quick. If not, you get the idea, right, folks? The poll shows up like that, and for whatever reason, yeah, here's another example. Whatever reason, this has 13,000 views. 9,400 views. Those polls right now are getting more distribution on LinkedIn, disproportionately more distribution than the other format types. So I really encourage you to look into those if you want to get yourself in front of more people. Mike, you mentioned being verbose. I mentioned you. All right. Brett says, can you do a poll inside of a group? Yes, I believe you can, Brett, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I think that's what I had here. Let's see. Yes, this is inside of the group. Yep. So there you go. Let me know if you have any other questions there, Brett. Thank you. Good question. All right. Last one here. I think this is the last one. Articles. So an article in LinkedIn vernacular is like a blog post, but hosted inside of LinkedIn. So it gives you another way to distribute content. So if anybody here has a blog on their corporate site, maybe you're not allowed to publish on your blog, or maybe it's not easy to publish on your corporate site, and you want to put out content in a way where you can engage your audience, this might be useful to you. I'll show you a few examples here. It's another way that you can publish content, longer form content, and distribute that on LinkedIn. And you can have links inside of it. You can link to other content. You can link to a landing page that you build in your Mindfire software, things like that. All right, let me show you how it looks. I'm going to bring up two examples here. I see your question, Brett. I'll get back to that in a second. Andy, I see yours as well. Actually, that does really well. That would be a really good poll. I think Mike did one like that. Okay, so this is one titled, Apple is building an iPhone feature that could destroy the cold calling industry and no one even noticed. All right, published this a little while ago. So here's what the article looks like. It brings up a nice image, good headline, puts a byline of yours at the top. This is how you can format your content. What's cool about it is then you're able to engage the readers here. 204 engagements, 115 comments, 8,200 views, right? This is what I'm talking about when I say an article. That's what it looks like. Let me show you another one here. Nordstrom president cut direct mail, then this happened, right? Another post. This was repurposed. This was used from Mindfire's blog. We had this content syndicated in other locations. Let's see how this one did. 5,200 views, 252 comments, 79 comments. All right. So yeah, you get the idea. This is what it looks like now. One caveat, but you should always just take this with a grain of salt, is that for whatever reason, articles don't seem to get now a lot of distribution, a lot of eyeballs. Maybe they flipped a switch somewhere behind the scenes that now allocate that viewership to polls. We don't know why. We don't know why that is, but that's what we tend to see. So if you're doing an article, you may see diminished view numbers. If you do a poll, you may see it go nuts. I see Andy said that Mike here on the Mindfire side did a poll about whether or not you're vaccinated. That one did very well. It did go crazy. You're right. Yeah, can you do a poll inside of a group that you don't own? Well, let's take a look. A group that we do not own would be this one here, and poll right there. Yep. You got it, Brett? Here's the answer to your question. All right, so I want to make sure that you all know how to find and use hashtags, how to tag yourself, and how to engage with comments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause for a moment and just ask you, does anyone have any questions about how to use hashtags when you're pushing out this content? It's really important to remember some of these basic lessons that I've taught you, like how to use hashtags to widen the visibility of your content, how to tag yourself to improve the chances that you get notified that someone's actually interacting with your content. And do you understand what I mean by engaging with your comments? Does anybody have any questions about that? I want to make sure that you know these things. Brett, you're saying wow. Are you saying wow about which part? Remind me. Oh, maybe about doing a poll inside of a group. Is that right, Brett? Yeah, powerful. You know, I didn't show you this while I'm asking this question here. I want to go ahead and take a moment here to take a look at this, folks. When you do a poll, let me actually bring the poll examples back up here on the screen. I didn't show you this, but I want to make sure you realize that you can see how people are voting. I didn't actually show you this in real time. So you see this right here? See this 73 votes? I'm going to click on that. And what you can see here is how each person placed their vote. 34 people said this, 17 said that, 11 said this, 11 said that, okay? So now imagine that you're trying to get a pulse. You want the zeitgeist of your audience, of your tribe, of your community, your customers, your prospects. And you want to know what people think, what they're interested in. You can see that, but not only that, you see how this little message button is here? So what does Christy say? She wants to know how to grow her connections, right? So you click that button, and you're right into a one-on-one message with Christy. You see that? Really powerful. All right, let's see what we have here. Mike says 1,175 votes, 29,000 views, 106 comments, and 1 irate respondent. Not bad. That's good. Let's see. For articles in general feed, for articles in the general feed, people can't see the full piece of content until they click on it. That is correct. That is correct. I mentioned this earlier. I want to make sure you hear me. Here's an example of Bill. He went through this class. Bill owns this company here. And it's something I see a lot of you do. I mentioned this, right? You have your company page that's putting out some content, and you come in here and you share it. That's basically what Bill has done here. But he didn't put anything up here, right? He didn't say anything. What happens when you do that, what happens when you do this, like I said, is that usually you don't get much distribution. So there are two ways to fix that. One is to do what we talked about earlier, which is to put value on top, right? So Bill should have written something here. Or post this natively in your own feed. So take the image, take some content. You could even repurpose what your company page has said and create a new post. Take the extra 5 seconds, 10 seconds, minute, 5 minutes, whatever it is, to do that, and your content will go a lot further. That makes sense, everybody? Give me a yes in the chat if you understand that. Give me a yes in the chat. A common question we get, should I be sharing content from my company page? Yes, but keep this in mind. Does that make sense, everybody? Let me make sure you're hearing me here. I want to make sure you're understanding what I'm talking about. That makes sense? Okay, good. Now, one question I get often here, and I haven't heard it yet, is, let me move my big old head here to the other location. Whoops, now I disappeared. All right, so one of the questions I often get is, what works best, Dave? What should I be doing? Should I be doing text updates, videos, images, documents, just text, stories? What I recommend you do, folks, is measure, analyze, start to get, use them all. See what works for you. See what works for your audience. The whole OptiChannel premise, right, is the optimal channel for your audience. Work backwards from that. What does your audience resonate with? And what modality or modalities are best for you as an organization, for you as a person? Here's an example of analysis that we run often. Every so often, I'll take, this is one profile. I think this is actually my profile, and we'll look at the different post types, how many posts we did, how many views, how many likes, comments, shares, engagement, and run some averages to try to get an understanding of what's working for our particular community and audience, right? Now, the thing that's interesting here is, let's see, what are the total number of views? The total number of views here, I believe this was a 6-month period. Look at this number right here. 964,000 views across these posts, okay? Remember, the market value of these views on LinkedIn, in other words, if you go over to their ad product and you say, hey, I want to pay you for 1 million views, I'm just rounding that up, right? you're going to be paying about $50 per 1,000 views, average, okay? So the market value, the approximate market value of the free organic earned distribution on this platform is $48,000, okay? So again, I say this just to underscore how important it is to start to think about this. Imagine, I widened this view out here to, I think the next, I think this was 3 quarters worth of data, 1.7 million views, $89,000 in earned exposure. What I want you to remember is if you do this, and then what if your leadership team does it? What if your entire sales team did it? What if your entire staff were sharing? This kind of distribution, this kind of activity is out there for free right now and gives you an enormous amount of opportunity to get your name, your company, your brand, your product, your service out in front of customers. Does that make sense? Let's see what Mike is saying here. Mike says for polls, they can never see how someone voted unless they are the poster. Right. So when you create a poll, you can see, as the person creating the poll, how others have voted. Good clarification, Mike. All right, I'm going to pause here for a second. I'm going to pause. Before I lose everybody, we're coming up here to the end of the class. I want to make sure there's a couple more things I want to make sure I share with you about where you can go from here. But any other questions? Any other questions here? Tagging yourself is putting your own name in a post. Yes, Glenn, that is correct. If you want me to show you, hang tight. I will drop into LinkedIn and just make sure you're clear on that, Glenn. Happy to do that. Any other questions? Any other questions? Go ahead and type them in. I'll come back to them here in a second. Before we lose people, because I know some people have to leave at the top of the hour, I want to make sure you know a couple of things about where you can go from here after class, okay? This is the last class. Sadly, I'm going to miss all of you. We have Jessica here. We have Mike Cherkuzio. We have Kushal Dutta, who are here to help, and an entire staff of people that are here to support you. I want to make sure you know what some of those areas are that we can help you in. There's 3 specific things I pulled for you that I want to make sure I share with you before I lose some of the folks here. First of all, if you are finding yourself in a situation where, because life or business, whatever that's happening to you and to your organization precludes you or is keeping you from running regular self-promotional campaigns, meaning marketing your business, using the strategies and the techniques and the software that you have in your hands, we can help you with that. We actually have in-house an agency that runs OptiChannel campaigns for all sorts of organizations that can help you run those campaigns. So if you don't have the resources, the time, something else is in the way, and you need a professional team to run the campaigns for you, we can accelerate from where you are now to where you want to be by having our agency team step in and do that for you. Is that helpful for anybody? If so, drop the word accelerate there into the chat. Of course, there's no obligation here. If you just want to chat about it, right? Drop the word accelerate into the chat. And I think Jessica, right? Jessica is going to follow up and we'll talk to you about your situation. And if that's a fit for you to help you get to where you want to be faster, then our agency team might be the answer to the situation you're in. So drop the word accelerate if you think that kind of resourcing would be helpful to you. Secondly, Andy, I see your note. Jessica, just confirm you see Andy's note there. Second, if you think you have a client that could benefit from OptiChannel, in other words, I've been teaching you how to do these things for your business, right? But some of you are going to graduate to offering these services to your clients. If you think you have a client or a set of clients that might benefit from a full-blown campaign or a set of campaigns, we can help you understand whether or not that is actually an opportunity for you. Depending on your capability, we may either give you tools that you can use on your own to go and engage that client, have the meetings, do everything that needs to be done to get that account to win that business. So we can simply equip you to do that, or we can actually help you do it or do everything for you, depending on what it is that you need from us, okay? So if you think you have clients that might fit that, drop the word client program there in the chat. Drop that in. Client program. And if you think you might have an opportunity within your customer base, where you could sell OptiChannel, generate more revenue by selling this as a service to your clients, then drop that into the chat. That's the second thing. The third, if you want to sell OptiChannel, but you think, you know what, I need to train my sales team. Dave, I need to be able to get them up to speed with kind of what we've learned here in class and be able to sit in front of a potential customer or an existing client and talk to them about how these things could help them grow their leads, their sales, build their brand, then we have a 1-hour training session that we can do for your sales team. We'll teach them how to identify opportunities within your existing customer base, within your pipeline. And since each situation is unique, we can help you understand, what are potentially the next steps to be able to advance that conversation, to move those opportunities through the pipeline. So there's a lot of different options there in the sales training, but if you're interested in that, drop the phrase sales training there in the chat, and Jessica will follow up on that as well. So Accelerate if you need our agency's help, Client Program if you think, hey, I might have a customer that I could sell this to, I need your help, and then Sales Training if you need help to actually implement this within your sales organization. All right, I'm going to get to your questions here in just a second. Any questions on any of these here? Any questions about what we can do to help you in these 3 areas? Anybody? Let me know if you have any questions, all right? I want to make sure I answer your questions about any of those services that I just mentioned to you. Now, let me get to your notes here. Let's see. I'm going to scroll back up. I see Andy's note. Glenn says, I tag others regularly, but should I also tag my own tag at the same time? Glenn, let me come back to that. Jessica says, I was trying to connect my LinkedIn profile to my company page. It's not happening. How do I do that correctly? Okay, so I will get to that one as well. All right, so it looks like I need to jump into LinkedIn here. I want to do 2 things. Jump into LinkedIn. So let's see. So first, Glenn, I want to make sure I answer your question here. Tagging yourself is putting your own name in a post, right? So yes, so it would be something like great post goes here, and then @ and then your name at the bottom, okay? Now, that seems silly, right? Because obviously whoever sees your post is going to see your name and your face up there, and they know it's from you. So why do you do that? Again, the reason why you do it, and it may not be required forever, but if you've used LinkedIn long enough, you know that sometimes it doesn't notify you when somebody is engaging in your post, leaving a comment as an example. And when I say notifying, I'm talking about this notifications thing up here. Let me close this out, discard so I don't post that. This right here, they don't always do a good job of notifying you. Or if you're getting it on your phone, you don't always notice it there. It doesn't always pop up. So when you tag yourself, it seems as if those notifications improve. So that's why we suggest you do that. In other words, you are more likely to be notified. You are less likely to miss an opportunity to engage with your audience. Brett says, I was trying to connect my LinkedIn profile to my company page. So let me take a look and see if I can ascertain what you're talking about here, Brett. I'm going to pull you up. Okay, so Brett, you're talking about this right here, right? I can tell that this... So folks, look at the screen right now. Look at the screen. This is a good lesson for everybody. I think we talked about this 2 weeks back. When as a practitioner of LinkedIn, and when your prospects and your customers look at your profile, they're going to recognize, once they've been around the block a few times, that, as an example here with Brett, these companies don't exist, meaning they're not linked properly to the organization on LinkedIn. That's what this generic box means. Let me see if I can find an example of somebody where, I think Melissa's is good. Whoops, how do I go to Melissa? So yeah, here's Melissa. So you see how in contrast there's the logo there. That's what Brett is trying to do. He's trying to get his logo in that spot, link it correctly. So Brett, when you go to your profile, first of all, do you have a company page? Let me just make sure of that first. You have a company page, Brett? What's the name of your company page? You have to make sure, Brett, that when you're editing your profile, you are searching for exactly that. I just saw you, whoops, greater earned revenue. Not coming up. Is this it right here? I presume that's it right there. Is that right? Yes? Okay. So you need to, when you're editing your profile and you're adding your current work location, you need to search for that. You need to search for exactly this. Okay? Otherwise, if you just type it in, you know, you could type in anything and it's going to allow you to type that in, but you need to search. You type a few of the letters. If you type greater earned, it should actually show you a drop down, if I'm not mistaken, where you can actually select your organization and then create that connection. Okay, so try that right now if you can, Brett, as I'm answering the other questions. Jessica, was there another question that I missed here a second ago? I thought you just pasted something in. I see Glenn asking, I tag others regularly, but should I also add my own tag at the same time? So let me just clarify there. When you tag other people, first of all, Glenn, clarify where you're talking about, because you can tag people in the body of a post and you can tag people in comments. Which one are you referring to? Let me know. So Jessica, I got the question. Okay, cool. Good. So Glenn, let me know where you're referring to the tagging of other people in the body. Yeah, okay. So what Glenn's talking about is if you write a incredible post up here, right? And then let's say you also want to tag, I'm going to tag Glenn because, you know, Glenn has done an amazing job. You should love him, right? Something like that, right? If you tag a bunch of people, and we don't know exactly what a bunch means, but from the practitioner inside view on LinkedIn, it seems to sometimes have a detrimental effect on the distribution of that post, meaning how many eyeballs they'll put your content in front of. On the other hand, if you tag a smaller number of people and those people actually engage with your content and with that post, then it seems to do okay. In other words, if I came in here and I tagged a bunch of people, let's say Bill Gates and Oprah, do I have you? Oprah, right? And I do just a whole bunch of people, President Trump, whoever, right? Whoever the president is, right? If I tag a bunch of people here and they do not engage with my content, with your content, then that's a signal to LinkedIn, and it seems that they then depress or deflate the number of eyeballs that they put your content in front of. Does that make sense? So do it carefully, do it wisely. We used to have what we would call the golden hour, which is after you post about that 60-minute period where you need to really prove to LinkedIn that that post is worthy of wider distribution. LinkedIn behind the scenes has kind of think of them as stages that your content goes through, that at each one of those stages, they're looking for certain signals as they begin to open it up to more and more people. That's how their algorithm at a very high level is looking at your content. And it used to be that first stage, that first threshold was how well it performed within the first hour. Now it seems that that's been relaxed a little bit to, we think, somewhere between 2 to 3 hours. The reason I mention that is if you're tagging Oprah and Bill Gates and all these other people and they don't engage within that golden hour, or maybe 2 to 3 hours now, then you don't pass to the next level of distribution. Am I making sense? Let me know there in the chat. All right, Brett says, awesome, it worked. So let's just go take a look at Brett. Let's confirm that Brett has contact with Houston. There we go, Brett. You got it, my man. Perfect. Excellent. So you may want to do the same, Brett, with the others as well, if you can do that. If those companies have active pages, you should be able to make that connection. All right? Okay, what other questions do you all have? I'm yours for the next 8 minutes. For those of you who are still here, what else can I do to help you? What other needs do you have? Has this class been helpful to you? Has this material been helpful? Please let me know there in the chat. Mike says, good job, Brett. Yep. Way to go. And if the rest of you are wondering, how did Brett just do what he did and you don't know how to do it? Let me know. I'll help you. I'm going to go down the list here. So Glenn, Jeffrey, Joe, Kim, Leonard. Hey, Leonard, I don't think I said hello to you. Mark, what other questions do you have? Glenn says, very helpful, even the second time. Good. I'm glad. Jeffrey says, yes, very helpful. I'm glad. Joe says, thanks for all the insight, Dave. Good. I'm glad that it was helpful. Joe, I've enjoyed your energy. I almost said enjoyed. I was trying to say enjoyed. I've enjoyed your energy and your participation in class. Same for you, Jeffrey and Glenn. You as well. So if there's anything else I can do to help you. Did we lose Juliana? Yeah, it looks like Juliana had to leave. Leonard says, if I make a post and I look at my own feed, I will see it twice, correct? Twice. In what way do you see it twice? You shouldn't see it twice, Leonard. The way I usually look at my own posts is I come here to my profile. There's many ways to get to your own content, but showed you this right here under all activity. And then here, if you click on posts, you should not see it multiple times. Where are you seeing it multiple? You see it multiple times in your profile. Okay. Likely then what you're doing is just leaving it as all activity. You really see it multiple times in your, okay, let's take a look. Let's see if I can get your name right. Is it ES or EZ? I think we had it wrong at one point, right? Is it ES? No, it's EZ. Is that right? Is this it? Yep. Sorry about that. This is yours? Just confirm if I'm on the right profile. Awesome. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's see what we're talking about here. So he's here in posts. So let's see if we see duplicates. Let's see if we see duplicates. Was that one? Wait, excited for the growth. That one? Nope, that's different. Let's see. That one on AAA. AAA. All right, where's AAA? Where's AAA? AAA. Okay, so this one here, good morning. So you're seeing that one there. Is there another AAA? Let's see. I'm not seeing the other one. Where is the other one? Where is the other one? How far down is it? I mean, we're back 5 months now, so I don't think so. I only see this one, right? Or am I losing it? I only see one. Where do you see the other one? I suspect it's possible you may be seeing it multiple times like this, right? That's because, and again, Leonard, I could be wrong, but I suspect that you erroneously had all activity selected, not narrowed down to post, because as you can see in this view, you do see it twice because it's showing, it's kind of an activity stream of everything you've done, okay? So if you commented multiple times, if you replied to multiple comments, then you would see it twice there. But I suspect that if you narrow it down to this view, you should only see it once unless there's a bug in LinkedIn. Let me know if that helps, Leonard, once you try that out on your side. Brett and, yeah, Leonard, probably all activity. Yes, exactly. Yep, exactly. Mark, Leonard, Kim, Jeffrey, Glenn, and Brett. Any other questions? Mindfire team, so Jessica, Kushal, Mike, anything else that I missed that you think is important for me to communicate to the group here? Glenn says, thank you all. Looking forward to our upcoming campaign with Melissa's new ebook and our 3D card animations. Glenn, make sure we get a copy of that. I'd love to see the ebook. Send it to us or post about it in the group. Make some noise about it, and we'll join in and hoot and holler as well. Jessica says, all good. Leonard says, awesome work. Thank you. All right, folks, if you need to leave, please do that. And make sure to say goodbye. Kim says, thank you for the wonderful information. Look forward to lots of growth. Have an amazing day. Same to you, Kim. It's been a pleasure to have you in class. Thank you all for attending. Yep, I agree with that, Mike. We really appreciate all of you. Thank you, Mark. You know, we do this for you. We're here to support you folks. So if you need anything from us, you know where to go. You know how to reach us. Jessica will follow up with those of you who have dropped comments in the material today during chat. Brett says, thank you, David, to you and your team. You have a great team. We do indeed. The organization strength and everything that we've done for you is entirely the team, Brett. So thank you for mentioning that. And I 100% agree. Leonard, really appreciate it. We appreciate you too, Leonard. Thank you all for your time. You all are customer obsessed. Thank you, Leonard. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, that is a value of ours, and we do try hard. It's not easy, as I'm sure you know. It is definitely not easy to do. So for you to say that is a huge honor. What a blessing. Thank you so much, Leonard, for saying that. All right. If there's anything else we can do to serve you, I'm going to wait another 30 seconds. If not, have a great rest of the day. Have a great rest of the week. And hope to see you all in person someday soon. I think things are moving back in that direction. But certainly we'll see you online. We'll see you in the podcast. We'll see you in the webinars that we do. All right. Looks like we're good to go. Thank you all for your time today. Thank you all for being in this class with me and with the Mindfire team. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. Bye-bye.